folks. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. This is supposed to be live, but we're having some technical difficulties, so we're live, and that's all that really matters right now. But we'll get this here. You're going to see this within an hour. We'll get this posted up for you tonight, and then we'll get a little edit versions for the audio version for you all to listen to on your way to the next tournament, which is Green Bay for us. So joined once again by Mr. John Balla and Mr. Drake Hurd, as we're going to go through the Red Wing tournament, what we got upcoming for Green Bay, and just a couple other things. So how is it going, gentlemen? What you've been up to since the last tournament?
I'm going to let John go because I took third place. I'm not going to highlight this.
I didn't even fish it. I just practiced a little bit with the guys. Yeah. No, I've just been traveling a lot for work. I was able to do some of the stats after the Red Wing event. I got out there for a couple of days to see what you guys are faced with and all that. Rising water, rain, pretty dirty. But now we're just kind of getting prepped to go out next weekend to go do a little practicing on Green Bay. So just putting together some stats for that one.
Yeah, I got my boys, as soon as I get back, I get about a day's break, and then they're like, Dad, we got to go fishing. And they don't really care what it is, whether it's off Grandpa's dock or walleyes. They just want something to tug. So that's what we've been doing quite a bit. And I got to fish a little tournament with my Hudson, my oldest son. We ended up in fourth place, so he was pretty jacked about that. So it was a good time. And, I'm just... Same thing, just kind of prepping. I mean, we're 3-4 days out before we're leaving for Green Bay, and just kind of getting stuff ready.
Well, I'm in the about the same boat. I think I had one day, and I've been living in my camper, and I think I'm home tonight for this, and I'll be leaving after this back to the camper to guide the rest of the week. But I'm pretty much been on the water every single day since Red Wing, and I think I've been home 1 or 2 nights since then. It's a grind, and as you can see, I'm kind of exhausted, so I had to go get a monster to get not to hydrate. I had to stay awake, because I'm going to get back down there until about 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I've been on the road for work 6 weeks in a row now. I think 8 out of the last 10. Flying out to Boise tomorrow, and then next week I'll be in Wisconsin and Michigan the following week. Then it'll slow down for me. So, I half the time I don't even know where I'm at. And I wake up in a hotel room like, what town am I even in? I have no idea. Yeah.
You ever get that hotel room and you wake up, you literally don't know where you are. You get out the wrong side of the bed that you're used to, and you're like, oh, that's a wall or whatever it is. I do that all.
Yeah, so I literally put my feet down, and maybe you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I put my feet down, and I literally let my eyes adjust and go, all right, my bathroom is normally that way. Now I got to figure out where it is. So, it happens every single time, every time.
Yep. Nope. I've been I don't know if it's just getting old or what, but I've noticed that happening to me a little bit lately too. Not so much in the camper, because if you turn left or right, I mean, you're hitting a wall. It's not huge, but but we kick off our starting loose in Clark Lake Walleye League, and we have our inaugural event tomorrow night. So been putting that. NTC is coming to Francis Case next year, which gave us a little incentive to get this thing fired up. Got our Walleye Federation stuff all turned in. We're official league. I think we had 16 teams as of now, and then we have 4 side pots if we get enough 4 more teams entered in those to possibly get up to 10 NTC slots. So that should be fun. So,
well, I should come down and do that then. Might be a little bit of a hike every week, but
it might be. We're using the Fish Donkey app. I didn't want to beat up my fishery and kill all these fish every night, so I'm like, we got to, in South Dakota, kill tournaments. Of course, we don't have permits because we're under 20 boats or 19 boats at this point, but I did put in for permits the rest of the year. But we'll see how it goes. Fishing has been phenomenal there, but the last few days were not very good, as I was telling John, but more boat traffic, more people fishing than I've seen in a long time. So thanks, social media. Thanks for everybody following the guide boats around. Appreciate it.
John, cry me a river. I mean, that's we're doing our job, though. We're doing our job.
We've done it too well. Now my clients are paying the price of not getting to catch anything because of it. But it's just not a place that there's 50 rock piles. There's one. And so the fishing reports are no longer happening the rest of the year. So y'all are going to have to figure it out on your own. Sorry. So
you're so mean.
Yeah, well, the guy today says, oh, can you see any fish on that live scope? I said, no, but I can see your bottom bouncer on top of my jig. You think you're close enough? He's like, oh, I'll slide out a little bit. I'm like, you probably, before I could poke you in the eyeball with this rod tip, because come on, man. You know, and I've had clients lately just go, what's too close? I'm like, that's too close.
Too close.
This is entirely too close. So, anywho, all right. So let's get back on the good stuff. Oh, that's my soapbox. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's been frustrating a couple days. So if I was catching the hell out of them, I'd probably worry about it, but I was, and then it got tough. But it'll get better throughout the week now. Then come weekends, it's just a busy place, and that's good. Like you said, Greg, we are doing our job. They're getting out there, they're catching fish, and just give the guides a little space, people. That's all. That's all I'm asking. Just give them a little space, okay?
Yeah.
You know, don't wait for it at the boat ramp for them to take off. Just go fish. Give them a little space. I'm happy to give you info. Just, God damn it, give me some space. So. It's digging. Anywho, all right, Red Wing. So we wrapped that up. Local won it. I think there was quite a few locals in the top there. Pools 3 looks like it put out some big fish. I didn't spend any time there. Pool 4 for me, more of the barely into Lake Pepin, but the mouth of it and into it a little bit. Willow Catch played, I think it sounded like, for some of those big fish for guys. And, jigging, a lot of bottom bouncer, 3-way rigging, and willow cats. What'd you do?
I was trying to take it all in. I pitched a lot of jigs. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. And we kind of got onto that bite, too. I mean, it was kind of head of the lakes. We went down to 4. I will say I took my first day of pre-fishing. Yeah, I think it was my first or whatever, and stayed up in 3 and caught some fish in 3. I wanted to have some spots to go to in 3, in case I needed to, whether we got stuck by a lock or, you know, whatever it might be that I could.
Which we did.
Could pick some up. Yeah, exactly, and it actually did help me, well, for that part. But most of ours, we're down head of the lakes area. We did go all the way down to like Lake City and fish a lot of those points where, you know, they said there's going to be big fish, and there were big fish down there, but there's also a lot of pressure, too. You know, it was one of those things that, you know, me, Eric, Kevin, we kind of, and Stacy, we would check random spots, and we'd pull up and catch some big fish. You know, it was one of those things where you could stop at those points, but you knew, like, even during the tournament, there's 4 or 5 boats on those points, and it was going to get tough. So we kept battling, and we ended up fishing in more so the head of the lakes area and some current areas and stuff to catch our fish in the end, you know. My recap is, you know, the first day I really didn't get a big fish bite. I can't really complain about that. You know, I had 3 fish probably since about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I just kept throwing them back and throwing them back and throwing them back. And then I went up into 3 with about 2 hours left, made 1 or 2 casts, and we were done. So it was like, okay, I can't let a 20 and a half go with only like an hour left. I can't do it. I knew we were going to still be in it. You know, I can't remember what place exactly I was in, 44th or 47th, somewhere. So I wasn't like mad about it by any means. But I needed a big bite. So second day, and I'm sure you guys will touch on this, we got stuck in the lock. I mean, there was, I don't know, how many boats did we say were in the lock? I mean, was there
freaking packed, 90?
Yeah,
100?
At least 90 boats. I mean, we were stacked 3 or 4 wide, and I mean, it was a good time, but it was crazy.
I'd never seen a lock that packed before.
Yeah, and just taking off was crazy, but but I was fine with that. Like in 3, so then I went up with my co-angler the second day in 3, and we honestly had 3 beautiful, like 19 and a half inches by like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and the lock opened up, and I'm like, we're going to go down to 4 and get a big one. We got plenty of time. You know, like we'll just keep plugging away. And we caught, I don't know how many, I'd say between 15 and 20 fish. And he lost one at like 12:30. The major was at like 1. He lost a big one at 12:30. I lost one at like 12:50, and then I lost another big one at like 1:20. And we lost those 3 fish, and then it just like died. And I was like, well, there was our chance, you know, but I just couldn't get him to the boat. I mean, I got the bites that I needed. I just couldn't get him to the boat, and so I only ended up weighing 3 fish. You know, it's the challenge, and I'm sure John will have some great stats on it. It's a challenge that we face. You know,
you didn't sharpen your hooks, man.
I know. It was funny though. Like, I and then you start like second guessing yourself. Like, should you set the hook harder? Should you set it softer? And like all week, I was just setting the hook like it was nothing, And then you start second guessing yourself, and I don't know. It was just one of those things where it was like, this is dumb.
I did notice that big fish were biting lighter than the little ones. Big time. Yeah. I haven't. Everybody's always losing fish or losing them at the boat, and I can also say my guide clients lose them. We lost some 20 pluses every day, but I'm like, that never has really happened to me in a tournament where I've had a fish there and then it just came off. I don't think I set the hook like a bass guy by all means, but I certainly don't now because I got some kind of tennis elbow thing going on, and I can't. I've been fishing left-handed all week.
Yeah,
because it's not. If I can't. I don't know how I'm going to do Green Bay scoping, and I can't hardly even set the hook with my right arm.
Switching reels, you'll be reeling.
I did. I got all my. I have 3 rods I've been using, and I've switched them over in the last few days. And I go out at night, and I've just been practicing with my left. Super uncomfortable.
A brace you can wear or something?
Yeah, I got one on I got one on, but there's no cure. It's tennis elbow. I looked it up, and like my grip, I could barely lift my cup of coffee up.
Wow.
And it just says rest it, so I ice it, and I've been wearing a brace since Red Wing. Is when it started to hurt, and I'm like, oh, this is serious, and now it's gotten worse. I didn't fish a whole lot today, 2 hours this morning. Yeah, it's bad, but I don't know. I'm going to probably wear one of my weightlifting gloves that has a wrist wrap so I can wrap it around my rod handle. And I'm serious, man. It's already packed in the truck. Yeah. So that if I just suck at my left hand fishing, which I mean, I can flip. Casting's not a problem. It's setting the hooks. I set on a snag the other day, and I was like, ow. Yeah, it's bad, but I saw this. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's where I wonder because like Dylan Nussbaum, if you watch, he's more of a reaction guy. Like he gets his baits moving faster than a lot of guys. But yet when he sets the hook, he just like leans into him and keeps reeling. Like he doesn't even set it, and all of a sudden he's got like a 28-incher, and I'm like, well, what the heck, And then you got whoever else just cranking on him, So it's like,
So I tell my clients, and that guy said it once. He's like, "You got to get that written on your back of your shirt." And I always just tell him, I said, "Never stop reeling." But I set the drags loose. I mean, you're just dealing with kind of inexperienced people sometimes, and they'll just get nuts. I'm just like, just reel, never stop reeling. And the drags are set to where sometimes they're not going nowhere, but I'm like, just keep reeling. When it gets tired, you'll gain a little bit, but just otherwise they got this thing going on, right? You reel with this arm, and this arm's doing this, and your rod tip. It's just chaos, but you just keep tension on it. The guys always outfish the ladies. A lot of times, wives will outfish the husbands in a boat because they just pick it up and reel.
Yep.
Just reeling down on it and bringing it in steady with good pressure.
I think it's an inexact science. There's so many times where it just happens. I don't know if it's. Sometimes it's the hooks, but a lot of times it's just where the fish bites the bait, where it gets the hook, and it just happens. We can't see what's going on. So
I did have one spit I did have that happen to me the other night. So I did have it. It was a good one, and I got right to the boat, and boom, my jig flew out and flew right by my head. 10 minutes later, I had a gal with one on a slip bobber, and so I reeled mine right to the edge of the boat, sat it down. That jig's just laying in like 6 feet. Help her net it. I go pick my rod up. I pick it up. I'm like, 21-incher. I'm like, probably the same one that just threw my jig at me is my guess. But
well, I don't know if you ever saw that Target Walleye video. That wasn't there like a jigging Rat that a fish like threw out of his mouth and the guy netted it after it was in his boat? Like the fish literally like just went and spit out a jigging Rat. Like
all those hooks, right? All those hooks. How are you not hooked up?
Yeah. But I got a couple questions for you guys. Going into it, Drake, you'd fished there before.
Yep.
So what was your overall impression after practice, after the tournament in terms of the fishery? And then same thing to you, Brian, after you've never been there before, what was your impression of the bite? And then kind of what were your expectations, I think, going into the tournament?
I'll be honest, it was probably my best pre-fishing, to be honest with you. And I hate to say that prior to a tournament, but like, I felt good. Like, I'm like, we're getting plenty of fish in that 17 to 19 and a half inch range. And then I would say Kevin and Eric McCoy, they caught bigger fish, but I was still catching some. So I wasn't really worried about it. And I'm like, we'll just kind of plug away. We'll take our time and we'll get them, And Kevin and Eric did. I mean, they both cashed very good checks, but like, it was like, God, I just needed that big fish to get to the boat, So, I would say, and I don't know if it's because of the technology, John, or if we just fish different areas or how we fish now. I don't know. I know that was the most fish by far that I've caught in Red Wing since I've been pre-fishing there, and it could have been that the bite was just that good too. It's like the perfect time of year too.
But all the locals said it was off that week.
Yeah.
It was really good until you all got here, and I'm like, I don't know, it seems pretty decent to me, but
I think those locals get stuck in their ways. Like
Right.
it's just one of those things where we go there and we look for something different.
Yep.
We like I hate current. So like I'm trying to find fish out of the current, as best I can. I mean I don't mind current, but like they get stuck in their ways. Well, if those fish don't bite, then they don't know. Whereas we just keep searching and searching and searching,
Yep.
and that's where Eric is honestly the best out of us at doing. He just keeps searching and searching, and then all of a sudden he'll stumble onto something. It's just one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I loved it. I had more fun in one day at Red Wing than I had a whole week at Erie. So I mean, I didn't care what the weather was, and it was pretty decent the whole time. And it didn't catch a lot of fish. I thought it'd be a little better, but then I did get some things figured out, and then I started catching a lot of fish. Spent most of my time in 4. Randy found some fish in 3, and I checked it out a little bit Wednesday because I took the boat up, to get the boat slipped. So I spent some time in there. I'm like, I don't like any of this up here compared to 4. I'm like, you better have a spot. So, but I never even went to it. I just tooled around by the lock until it opened up, and I didn't catch crap. But I was pretty confident. I thought I could not easily, but probably get 12 pounds in a couple hours each day. And
Wow.
I never got 12 pounds. Day 1, I noticed when I went to the lock that the rollers were down. And I'm like, I noticed it, and I'm like, well, that might be a problem. Because my big fish spot was off the channel. Chase and Corey were fishing there as well. And I'm like, all right. And then I got to my first spot where I was going to get my 19s. And we did get a couple decent fish there, so it would have been a bonus to get a 4 or 5 pounder. But I get like 19 and a halves, pitch and jigs. Jig and crawler, jig and plastic. Jig and plastic was working better for me. Z-Man jerk shad. I got there and it was muddy as hell. I'm like, this is a little bit of a problem. I don't think and I thought for sure there was going to be other people there. Nobody. Then now I know why we didn't.
Yeah,
catch
but
crap.
that could be a good thing too. Like a lot of these guys don't miss anything, but you show up at a spot and there's not many guys like that.
Yeah, I was like Randy popped a 25 and he reeled his. He missed one and it followed it to the boat. Well, he took the phone call from his wife, set his rod down, picked it up, had a 25-incher on it. At practice, and I went there and made 3 casts, 19 and a half, 19 and a half, 18. I'm like, all right, I'm good, and hit it one other time at practice. And I think we popped maybe one more. Well, Randy went through it one other day and got like a 21, just Lindy rigging a leech or something and like that, and got one. I'm like, yeah, that's a good spot for 19, and maybe you'll get a big one. And my other spot was bouncers, and man, they did not want anything funky. Plain hook and a bead. Big fish. You put color on that thing, a smiley blade, a whatever, drum and little is just junk. You just got junk and small walleye. You just went straight up leech and a bead. Big fish. I was getting 24 to 26 inches just every day, 1 or 2 passes, no biggie. And did that at a couple 3 spots like that. And then I had a couple lead core spots, had a couple shallow spots. First spot I went and scoped to 20 and a half. First fish I caught was 20 and a half. I'm like, all right, this is going to be good. But then I didn't catch another 20 for like 2 days. Then I got in and where I caught them every day in that 24 to 26. We had a 27. I think Ted caught a practice, but nothing again from that spot. But no current. That was muddy. So I switched things up, ended up, throwing back some smaller ones. And then I think it was like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I'm like, we're going to have to start boating some of these little 15-inchers all of a sudden. So I pulled cranks, and you're just catching them left and right, and threw a couple, well, I don't know, I think I threw one like 16-incher in, still sauger. Like we need a fish. Yeah. And I went up to a different spot and really into the mouth, and willow catted a 17-incher. I'm like, I said anything over 20 at this point is going in the box. It's noon. Then I called the lock, and he's like, you're good. I'm like, all right, we got a couple more hours. I said, let's go back to where we started. Let's slow it down and go live bait and pop to 27 on a jig and crawler. I'm like, all right, well, that helps considerably, but that's it. Running 3 fish. Couldn't get it, didn't have enough time to run around and just pick up another dink, which that hurts big time in that thing. And then day 2, went back to the same program, except I went straight to my big fish spot and immediately got a 24. And I was like, it's healthy. It's a good one. I'm like, all right.
We talked about that.
You said 23. 23,
No,
though.
23, 24, it's the same thing.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's good because I got 3 or 4 that day, but the 24 was the biggest.
Yeah, see?
But he was fat. So I weighed him. I contemplated for quite a while because it was like, but we had to wait that hour and a half for the lock. So now it's already, 9 something. It's windy as hell. I can see Chase and Corey are trolling and they're catching as well. And they had about the same size bags those days. They got them to go. Randy got some out of there. They were biting. Then we got like a 17. And then I went over to my spot. I got that pitch jigs and got that 27. I'm like, maybe it won't be bad over there. Wrong. It was blowing like hell, but it was a point. And we just spot locked and just went through crawlers. And I was throwing a plastic. I switched up to a beef fish and moxie with that paddle tail. And then 18 and a half. Threw back a real fat 18 and a half. I'm like, we have 4 hours, or like 3.5 hours. We need a 19 and a half just because we're going to be done. We got an 18 and a half box and then it got a fat one. And then it literally took 3 hours to get another 18 and a half after I threw them back.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, we'll keep that one. It's time to go. We're out of here. That's maybe 10 pounds. I think that's what it was. It's a little over 10 pounds, but caught another 21 or a 23. And like, this spot isn't supposed to be full of big fish, but I thought the place was healthy. There was a lot of big fish. It was fun. You could do kind of whatever you wanted. It seemed like you could sit on them with cats. You could pitch jigs, which same, we're in the same boat there. I got off those currents. I did catch a lot of big fish but the current down in the mouth or even on Pepin wasn't obviously nothing like pool 3.
Right.
So it didn't have 3 weight. I just put a 2-ounce bottom bouncer on and pulled upstream and downstream. But
what about top couple locals won it on wing dams? Did you guys ever jump on any? Did you try a few?
I did, and I didn't catch anything.
Yeah, I'll be I'm the same way. I mean, I'm not a great wing dam fisherman, but like, you could pull up on a wing dam and scan if there was fish, and I just didn't really see that many fish on any of the wing dams. And I was always told, kind of growing up, that like you have your trolling motor on between like 2 and 4, 4.5. But if you get much higher than that, there's too much flow. Well, I really wasn't finding many that I'm like, they're going to be here, And so, I'm sure those guys know their little honey holes that are tucked back in where they can get one. But it's just, I didn't get many on wing dams. Maybe one.
It was ripping through there.
Generally, it just pushed the fish in towards the shore. That's really what it did. Mm-hmm. They didn't leave the wings at all. They just actually kind of moved a little bit tighter on the shore. And maybe in the back couple in a series, that was kind of instead of the first 2 of them. But
and that's where I was scanning one, and I'm like, oh, maybe. And then I hit shore. My dad's like, yeah, that's definitely land there, because I'm like, they'll be on the inside and buried the boat right into the shore. Like,
I fished that inside. I fished the inside corner of a couple, and I think Quartz was on the same couple one day of practice. And I threw some cranks at it, threw some willow cats back there, dropped a couple cats back, and then just started casting and stuff. And that hit. You'd see a few of them on your scope or side scan, but it didn't give it a lot of time neither. If I would have caught one, would have had more. I've caught them on wing dams before, and I don't mind that style of fishing at all. But it just wasn't happening.
And you mentioned, Drake, about the paying attention to the moon phases. Do you guys normally do that? And like, did you guys say going into the tournament, you're like, all right, I have to be on my juice during those moon phases? Like, that's where I have to be?
100%. I watch it like a hawk. It's crazy, and we will talk about it the night before every thing. Like, we need to be here or here, and we watch it. Especially, I mean, I'll take any advantage I can get when I need a big fish. Like, it's one of those things, And I live religiously by that there.
I use Bass Forecast.
Nice.
So it gives you the majors and minors and the, good fair. Today's a 6.5 out of a 10. The majors at 420 to 622.
There's another one. In Fisherman, I think if you go to their website and just type in Solinar tables, it'll ask for your zip code and what species you're fishing, and you can get some majors and minors in that too. That's for anybody that's listening that wants to check that out. You're listening to two professionals saying how they're fishing a tournament and they're going to their juice, their best stuff when they're looking at a Solinar table. So it could be super helpful.
Tell my clients that all the time. I'm like, if you only got 2 hours to fish whatever these 2 hours are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's same with hunting. It's all moon and, barometer. I watch it all. And yeah, it's like Drake. It's like, hey, I got a big fish spot. I got to be there during the major period, going to the juice. So,
yeah. So do you want me to recap Red Wing real quick, just some of the stats?
Yes. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, you heard most of them, but for anybody that might not have seen the stuff that I posted on social media, locals did really well. They took $151,000 out of the $272,000 total purse, which was about 55% of the money. They cashed, 7 anglers from Wisconsin, 7 from Minnesota, cashed 14 out of the 23 checks. 49 out of the 117 anglers caught 2-day limits of 4 fish a day. We talked about that in that last podcast about, just like the very same thing that happened to you, Brian. You throw a few back and then you come in one short and then, you're like, boy, I could have kept that 15 earlier.
The funny thing was everybody that brought in 3 fish, you think they'd be missing the overs? Everybody had the overs. We're all missing an under because we ran out of time or threw them back.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it just goes to show you that when it comes down to a no call tournament, it's limits aren't always going to be the case. Justin Schneider, in that note, he caught 2 more limits. That's his 23rd straight weigh-in that he's caught a limit of fish in an NWT event, which is just insane. Yeah, that's just insane.
That's impressive.
You would think that wouldn't be hard, but it is so hard. It's crazy.
I did it one season. I had one season, and that was it. And there was 2 of us out of everybody. There was 2 of us did it the whole season. So that must have been when Snyder must have started a streak right after that. Yeah. So
I think his last one was the beginning of 21 or 22. I forget which I had it in the stats, but something like that. I think the date it was Detroit River. When was that? 2021?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was almost impossible to catch them there.
62 zeros, I think, or something like that.
That was impossible.
I caught 1 each day. So.
Yep.
But, I have no stats on how many people caught overs. You just kind of have to maybe guess on the weights. But it looks like there were plenty of fish. And, probably a lot of guys did what you did. At a certain part of the day, you keep it 20.5 or 20, or you just have to. And it helped you, Brian, because it shot you up the Angler of the Year points. I mean, it did move you up from Erie. Quite a bit, spots. Just making that decision for that one. I mean, it could probably help you 35, 40 points.
Yep.
I'm guessing.
That's exactly what I told I think Tom in the boat. Everybody's had him. I remember his last name, the older guy, is a retired vet. And I was like, I looked at it, said, I need the points. Threw it in the box. Went, no. Yeah. We already crapped the bet on day one. We're not going to win it. Let's get some points.
Yeah.
But a lot of, Defabaugh, he's, he's 5 of 6 in his checks his last events. Max Wilson's got 6 in a row. 9 of his last 10 events, he's cashed a check. Eric McCoy's got 6 in a row, including 3 of his last 4 top 10s.
He's on fire.
Yeah. What's that?
He's on fire.
Yeah, Pappenfuss has got 3 top 10s in a row. Dewey Jelm, 14 of his last 20 events. That's just absolutely crazy. And Dylan Nussbaum's got 5 in a row, 5 checks in a row. So there's 2 guys shooting to try and tie the record of the late David Anderson, who had 7 tournaments in a row cashing a check. So Eric and Max have a chance to tie him coming up to Green Bay, which is pretty impressive.
And I would say those 2 have a good chance of doing that at Green Bay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Kopchak had the biggest bag of the event with 16.6 on day 2. Don Marks moved the most from day 1 to day 2. He moved up 48 places. That was the biggest mover.
Yep.
That's kind of like, I guess the relevant stuff, but Average fish. I think, what was the average fish I had in that thing? I think it was finishing in something like, if you caught a limit of the average, I'd have to look at my.
That'd be 2.5 pounds almost.
It was 2-1, which is right along with everything. It was like 2-1 or 2-2, which is basically a little bit more like 1 or 2 tenths higher than historicals.
Yep.
So Going to 4 fish and an over probably raised that a little bit. 5 fish might have actually brought it back down because and this is what we're going to probably talk about at Green Bay is when you go from 5 to 3, do the averages go up for 3 fish?
Yeah. Right.
Or down, So
yeah. And there was like that 27 I caught on day one wasn't a tank, but it was a 27 going in the box. But I'm like, oh, and it was beat up bad. Like, I mean, it was clearly a post spawner and hadn't put the feed bag on. But I caught other ones that were, and Ted caught a 27, the same thing. It was kind of skinny, but some of them 24, 25, 26s were not. They've been eating well and they were good to go. So length doesn't really matter sometimes. It's one of those scenarios where it doesn't matter. It was all about the size and the weight, not the length. So
Drake, you had mentioned, remember where you would probably finish if you caught 2 limits of unders.
Yeah.
What would have been not the highest, you can't pick the highest, but what would have been a fairly above average?
2 times 4, what is that? 8. Yeah. That's what
so 17.6 for 2 days.
Yeah.
That puts you in like
50 something.
59th, 60th place.
Yeah. So it wasn't enough. It was
Yeah, they weren't that big. Even those night, I mean, some 20s were not even 3 pounds. So
yeah,
they were a little lighter.
We weighed a ton of fish. It was just one of those things. And you'd get like one would just be a football, and he'd be like 2.5, 2.6, and you'd be like yes, and then you'd go like on a streak of 113, 114.
Yep, a lot of 113, 114s.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're just like, I can't do that. It's not 2 pounds. So I want to know. What do you do?
Yep, I think a lot of guys said that 2 pounds was kind of the cutoff for the for the unders, because even if it was a 20-incher, it's barely over 2 pounds. But a lot in that 113, 114 where you're like, God dang it, it's an ounce, man. It's 2 ounces. But
exactly.
That is what it is.
Yep.
So it did help you guys move up, Drake. You're in 28th for Angler of the Year, 298 points. You're 19 points above the cut line. Brian, you're at 247, so you're basically 32 points behind the cut line, and you got 2 tournaments now to basically make it up. So
pressure. I like pressure. That's good. Fish better with pressure.
To finish in that, like right now, 40th place is averaging a 62nd place. So you got to finish 16 points inside of that. So 46th place. If you finish 246 places, you're going to be right on the bubble.
A little bit about some high performance products that I use, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love it too. It's the Seaguar Smackdown braid. There's 3 things about this thin diameter braid that I just absolutely love. 1, it's tough as nails. 2, longest casting, smoothest braid I've ever used. The 8-strand braid, tubular form, just comes off those reels, super smooth, long cast. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's awesome. And 3, it's super sensitive. No matter what kind of lure or jig I'm throwing out there, I can tell. I've grass, weeds, rocks, sand bottom. I can feel it all right through there into my rod. The stuff is extremely sensitive. So Smackdown comes in 2 colors, high vis and stealth gray. Get yourself some of this stuff, and you're gonna get yourself some more of these. Check them out at seaguar.com.
So there you go.
Oh, we're going to my least favorite place. So
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'm like, this Brian's isn't exactly sold on Green Bay right now, but he is Sakakawea, so it's like we're gonna see how this averages out.
Right.
Yep. Well, I've been working on the scoping so much that I can't hardly fish anymore. So, I'm ready. Looking forward to Green Bay. Problem is setting the hook on these not 15-inch fish is going to go, I might lose a couple rods in the drink. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see how the left arm's working. So,
people
I'm looking forward to it.
So you're good.
Yep, yeah. I'm good. I'll, we'll make it work. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm looking forward to catching some of those. I love Green Bay walleye because they rip the rod out of your hand. They're pissed off, unlike Erie walleyes and, river walleyes are as well. But I'm looking forward to it and kind of glad we only need 3.
Wow.
Yeah, what are you coming up with on that? Like,
I don't know. It's easier to get 3 than it is to get 5, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. It's going to come down to numbers, though, again. So,
All right, let's dig into Green Bay. We got recap Red Wing. We got the scoop. Why is it the 3 fish limit due to some of the rule changes? But from what I understand, Wisconsin Green Bay is a 5 fish limit per person. So I don't know if that was a miscommunication or because I mean a lot of Wisconsin's 3 fish. I get it, but Green Bay is 5 fish per person, so it should be I would think the theory goes out the window right there, right? With the 1-man limit and the non-party fishing, but whatever. It says the updated rules from the other day with your confirmation says 3 fish, so it's 3 fish. So how does that work? Brandon was on here a week ago and said the alewife spawn it's going. Thinks it'll be tough, but maybe over. I had a phone call from a fellow Green Bayer the other day and says, no, you're going to hit it at the absolute peak. That it's full on, but if there's, the wind blows the right direction, it could kill a bunch that get stuck in a bay, but it looks like the weather's pretty fair out there. Brandon thought 25 to 28 pounds a day on 3 fish. So you're looking at 8-pounders.
9-pounders.
9-pounders. Yeah. Right, public school. So,
that might be a stretch. I don't know. We'll see. We'll discuss this a little more. That might be a stretch.
Well, go for it. What do you think?
I'm going to throw this question out there.
I want him to talk first. Yeah.
when you hear people say the alewives are in, to me, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm never going to catch a fish? Does that mean I got to figure out how to catch them? What does it mean to you guys? Like, what is? I mean, someone says the alewives are in. Do you never take it off the trailer and say, screw, we're not going to catch them?
I say, big deal. It's like mayflies, and I actually prefer a mayfly hatch where I guide a lot because I have it figured out in a sense of what you have to do to get them, when the mayflies hatch. It's different everywhere you go, obviously. But alewives, that reaction baits, clearly the rip and wrap and stuff like that's going, but also get away from where all the bait is, right? And and if they're alive, that's fine. It's just the ones that die, it appears to be the problem, because then you have all this low hanging fruit and they're gorging and they're full. But you'll get them on a reaction bait, and that place is big, and there's the mudfish are already in there. You just have so many options, so much structure: east shore, west shore, north, south, mud. But like you said, Drake, we go hunting before we do any fishing, and somebody always figures them out. And I think reaction baits, jerk baits, stuff like that, I think there'll be a good solid weed bite probably going that gets overlooked, and there may not be a lot of alewives in there. I don't know a ton about the alewives, except when we have them back in Nebraska at McConaughey, and it's when they spawn, it's not a huge issue there like it is Green Bay. So, but it sounds like there's a record number of them, whatever that means too. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's where, I don't know, I look at it like, it's going to be a pain in the ass, but at the same time, like, we got to go fishing, and there's got to be areas where you can get away from them, or, they just moved and those fish are still hungry, whatever it might be. There's options there where, like you said, it's a huge area, that we can fish. So, am I worried about it? Yeah, a little bit, but at the same time, there's always fish biting somewhere. You just got to figure out when and where and kind of what baits and stuff,
I used to hate it when it was a tough bite, but I'd say the last 4 or 5 years, I love a tough bite because it's tough for everybody.
Yeah.
And when you get on something, obviously that helps your confidence. Everybody's meeting, right? We're all talking, and it sucks. That's all you hear. It's all you hear. That everybody comes in with monster bags.
Yeah.
Like, that was horrible, obviously. So take everything with a grain of salt. But there's times when I'm on them.
A number or something above our head, like of confidence, like 50 you're really confident, 1 you're not, and actually like tell the truth. Because and a lot of guys, like, I think there's enough now that are like, I wouldn't say they trust you enough, like they'll tell you if they're on them or not, because they know you're not going to move in on them or whatever. But it's interesting to listen to people, because a lot of the times, the word's tough. Well, now pre-fishing, everyone will say it's tough, and they're still crushing them. Like, they don't miss stuff. I've learned that, like, we still need to go out there and fish,
Yep. And it's, to say the theory is it's tough, but you caught one here, one there. Well, you're not beating it up. And now when you go there and you're like, I'm going to camp out here, and all of a sudden one turns into 20, and you're like, oh, I had no idea the spot was so good. Well, you only gave it 30 minutes, each day or 1 day or 2 days. So
what are your mindsets going in about, like, weights? Are you going to probably cast versus troll? Are you going to try to find a milk run of spots? Are you going to try to find a big area that you're going to stay on? Or
The problem with Green Bay is your spots can be 30 miles apart.
Yeah.
And, you know, it obviously depends on if it's windy because it gets a little blow there. You can't go very fast. You know, I mean, 15-mile-an-hour wind is like, if it's coming out the right direction, you're only going 30 miles an hour in your boat probably. I've gone 20 and broken a windshield and that stuff before. So it just depends. And then once you kind of commit to the east side, you're pretty much there.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
There's more than enough spots up and down it, but you got to come back over. But there's also a lot of places, probably some bites that are pretty close. So I think, you know, like everyone, you want to try to find something close if you got to fill that last spot with anything. But there can be some big fish in the mud and whatever. I think you're going to need 7-8 pounders
to win.
To compete.
You think you need 6, 7, or 8 pounders?
Mm-hmm.
Drake?
I don't. It's gonna be so clustered. I would say no, because don't you need like 17 or 18 normally with 5 fish to compete? Like 17 or 18 pounds cash as a check almost.
Well,
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not in scoping days. It will be one scoping. All top 10 will be scoping, with the exception of maybe Sprinkle and somebody else pulling crawler harnesses if the current and things line up right. My trolling rods aren't coming out of the truck.
I took my kicker off yesterday. So
You are all in.
I did, and I put 2 Minnesota Raptors on. Like,
Yeah, well, if you're
like
spinners, you just need your trolling motor pull spinners anyway. But.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I'm not going to troll cranks, but if I troll spinners, I'll just use my trolling motor. Like, that's just what I'll do. But I'm more worried about slowing my ass down when I'm drifting to be able to cast.
Yep.
You know.
Okay, so having said that, where are you? Are you guys? I mean, are you? You know, what are your plans? Are you plans to go for the win, go for a top 30, keep yourself in the points race under top 50? Like, you know.
I think we're always going for the win, but come day 2, that gives you there's a new perspective.
Yeah, depending on how day 1 goes, for sure.
Yeah. But I don't know. I personally like fishing Green Bay. I mean, I've done well there in the past, so like I have a little bit of confidence there. But I don't think I've ever been there in June, and I could be corrected if I'm wrong. But so that makes me a little nervous. But at the same time, like I have confidence in what we're hopefully going to figure out, and we'll kind of go from there. That being said, like I get nervous when people say like we need 8-9 pound fish. Like those are big fish. Like
Yes, they are.
I mean, if you think about it, like a lot of people don't catch that many in a summer or 2 summers, you know, and we got to catch 6 of them in 2 days.
6 of them in 2 days.
You know, like so. I don't know. That's where again, I probably get like a 5 to 6 pounder. Like I'm probably gonna throw it in and then hope for 2 bigger ones. Like I don't know. We'll see. You know, I don't know.
So we had that tipping point fish at Red Wing. What's the tipping point fish at Green Bay? 4 pounds, 5.5, 4.5, 3.5, 5.
Probably 4.
No, see, I'm gonna go bigger than Red Wing. I will say that. I'll say like
25.
25. Yeah, I would say a 25 is gonna be the real question mark. Where I'll really debate that or not, you know, and we'll have to see what time of the day it is and everything else. But, you know, I do think we're going to need bigger weights, but I don't know. Like, it's going to be interesting because what is it with 5 fish? How many do you know, John? Like, do you have any stats, like what it was to cash a check at all?
Oh, yeah. So that's what I was getting to. So here's the interesting part. What, you know, we talked about limits. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think the average 2-day limits for all 8 events? We've had 8 events on the Bay and Green Bay. Now that includes Sturgeon Bay, Marinette, Badenoch, you know, Kano, 8 events. How many 2-day limits for those average after 8 events are caught? 50%. How many guys catch a 2-day limit?
50%.
50?
Mm-hmm.
No, like 15.
14 guys. 14 guys average a 2-day limit on Green Bay after 8 events.
That don't surprise me. Green Bay's Green Bay's not a fish. I'd say it's fish factory. It's a big fish factory, but you just don't catch a lot of fish. You can get on it one day, and the next day you can catch 2.
14. The most ever was 24 2-day limits in 2022.
When was that?
That was July 12th and 13th. And the lowest was 6 in 2013 in July when Corey won that first one.
Yeah.
So the most ever was 24. And what you'll see is mostly on day one, guys will catch, there might be 30 or 35 guys that might catch them, but they don't get them on day 2.
No, it's tough to do it 2 days. And then what's throwing that off a little bit is that Memorial Day, that tournament, that one day, and you had like 50 zeros.
It's honestly only thrown it off a little bit because that year they had that year in 2021, that was I'm sorry, 20
out of Sturgeon Bay.
Yeah, 2021. There were there weren't that many. I'm looking at the sheet right now.
No, I had a limit, and there wasn't very many. Woodkey, Skirk. I mean, my limit was 8 pounds. So
I had 4 for like 24 or 25 or something.
There were like 7, 8. I'm counting offhand. I think there are 8 limits.
Skirk.
Yeah, Woodkey. 8 limits. So here, do you guys want to kind of predict some weights before I show you what the averages have been?
No, I got to act smart a little bit. Let's just look at these averages first, because then I'll act smart.
Let me get, and hey, to answer you, Drake, you average actually 32nd place in all the events you fished on the bay.
Okay. Not terrible, not great.
No, it's not terrible at all.
25, 8.5 pounds, 25-pound bag, So
here it is.
Take 22 pounds a day.
Yeah. So this will be interesting. I mean, this will give me. So what I want to do is show you like the averages from the 8 events: first place, 10th place, 20th, and 30th. Because I'm guessing there's probably going to be 130 or so. There was 120 or 117 at Red Wing. There was 81 guys that have fished 2 events so far. There's going to drop out a few. There was 36 locals in Red Wing. I'm going to guess 50. For Green Bay?
That's right.
I don't know. Green Bay is 113 has been the number seems like the last few years.
So, 40 or 50. So we'll probably be in that 115 to 125 if I had to guess. 3 fish might scare some guys up, but also might encourage some guys to say, I can go catch 3 giants.
Yeah. Easier than 5.
So this will be let's see, I'll show my screen, select the tab to share. No, select the window, this one. These are, let me know when you can see it.
Yep.
So this is just simple. Bay of Green Bay, 8 events. The average weight to win it, and 10th place, 20th place, 30th place, right? Pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
That's the average fish, right? So now if we turn this into a little bit more data, I'm going to try and let's do this. Try and isolate this a little bit more. So again, these are those averages that we were just seeing, right? 744, blah, blah, blah. Over 2 days, 6 fish. This is kind of what the averages play out. This is 27 a day. This is 15 a day. This is 12 and a half, and this is 11. But, we started talking about this. 5 fish, in my mind, it lowers the average because a lot of guys will catch 1 or 2 or even maybe 3 big ones, a 30, a 29, maybe a 27, and then they'll fill it out with some 25s. Even if you look at some of the Green Bay Walleye Series, AIM events, these are 2 guys that get to launch their boat wherever they want. There aren't that many times. There's been some occasions where guys caught like 529s or 29 and a half. And now you got to remember this. When they mark down a 29 and a half or a 30 incher, you can sometimes get that fish to touch a 29 and 3/4, and then you get the 30 inch, right?
Yep.
So and then the equation is, I figured out it's between 16 and 18% heavier for those fish. So you've got to take off almost 18% of those weights that you see. So in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, in my mind, these averages for 3 fish have to go up. Just
for reference, an AIM 30 incher is 11.33 pounds.
Exactly. And that's not going to be 11.33 pounds in the bay right now. I don't think. It's not. So Now, here's what I did. Taking the highest average out of all the 8 events in first, for 10th, for 20th, and for 30th. So this is saying, all right, I'm going to take the best that's ever been on a 5-fish tournament and see what those averages equal. There we got 8, for first. 20th is 5 1/4. And historically, 5-pounders do you a lot of good at Green Bay. I mean, look at this. A 5 1/4-pound average gets you in 20th, and that's the best it's ever been. So
with
you
5
equate
fish,
this,
right?
What's that?
With 5 fish, right?
With 5 fish.
That's 5. Yeah.
So now you put this into 3, and you're talking 48 for first place. That's 6 8-pounders. 6 of them. That means, I don't know if you guys saw any of the history of the Battle on the Bay, Sheboygan Walleye Club.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, they used to have 3-fish tournaments. And every once in a while, and these are 2 guys that really, really know the Bay well. They're fishing together. There's been like a 27. There might have even been a 28-pound for 3 fish. But most of the time, it was between 24 and 26 to win it for one-day event. And that was not catch, record, release. That was weight tournament. So I don't know. To me, I would tend to lean more in this category, this 48, 37. That's 18 and a half a day. That's some 6-pounders. That's still a darn good tournament on Green Bay. Yeah. 6 1/4. Think about that.
And that's when these guys get to keep, haven't we always been able to keep 5 or 7? I mean, 7
6.
or whatever.
6.
Yeah, so we get 1.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the other thing I want to talk about, right? So in practice, you guys are going to go out for 8 to 10 hours a day, and at the end of the day, you go, my best 3 were 25 pounds. I think guys have to be honest with themselves in practice and be like, all right, we're keeping track, and we're saying to ourselves, we got to be honest. This fish that I catch at this time, am I going to keep it or not? And by the end of the day, I need to be honest and say, what would my weight have been if I'm honest with myself on where and when I caught these fish? That's how guys are going to come up with an accurate interpretation of their practice and what that's going to mean for the tournament. So I'm in the ballpark of, I think it's going to be in this 48, somewhere around there, 48 to 50 maybe. I might even give it maybe a 2-pound window. 36 to 38 for 10th, 31 to 33 for 20th. That would be insanely good, I think. And then 30th, the weights will start getting a little bit tighter, 30th, 40th, and 50th, because there are a lot of, 3.5 to 5-pounders in the Bay. There just are. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. I do think, if first place isn't 48 to 50, it might be a little higher, but I think second and third, where I normally take, if you take day 1 and double it, third or fourth place usually wins it over the course of NWT. So I would think second or third is going to be right there. First might be an anomaly where someone just whacks them. One of these locals that might know. Because, again, we got to talk about this, which we talked about at Red Wing. When you get 35, 40 locals that have no points in the race, they have no skin in the game to try to make a championship, they can take risks. They can catch a 9 and an 8 and throw back a 5, throw back a 6, throw back a 5. They're saying, I'm trying to win 95,000. I don't care about points. And it might happen. They only need 3 of them now. It might happen for them because if you look historically, some of the bigger bags in some of these tournaments, there's usually been 2 bigger fish out of the 5 fish limits. When Hoyer won it, he had that 30, he had a 29, and then he had like 28 and 2 27s. And he had 80 pounds. That was the most. That was in May. Fish were shallow. The AOYs weren't in yet. So I don't know. That's what I think. I think the averages that I showed you at 7.5, I think you kind of bump that up because you're reducing it down to 3 fish. And there'll be some guys that know exactly how to catch 3.
So you think
big ones?
48 pounds to win it?
I think 48 to 50. That's 24 to 25 a day. 5. Those are 3 8-pounders a day. That's 6 8-pounders. Now, those you can have a couple 10s mixed in with some 6s, but there aren't that many tournaments that guys are catching 3 9s 2 days in a row. They're just not.
Not a Green Bay. I don't
want to run up the Big Bay to Knox, 70-something miles, and try to go get those by yourself and fish against nobody else?
Somebody will.
Maybe. if you can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where. Okay, my honest opinion was like 7 pounds. Like if I got 20 to 21 pounds a day, I'm gonna be happy as shit.
Oh
that
my
was
God!
honestly what I was thinking. Like that's still a big bag of fish. Like
Yeah, it is.
if you think about it, like that's impressive, you know. And so I don't know. And I know Eric wants us to go for like 24 to 26. He thinks that's what we're gonna need, which is kind of right in what you're thinking. But I'm like, realistically, like if I get between 6 and 7 pounders, they're going in the live well, and the first 3 that go in there go in there.
Drake, just to let you know, 21 a day, so 42 pounds in the last tournament would have put you in 13th. 21 pounds on that day one event would have put you in 13th.
Yeah.
That's I've only had like a 22 or 23 pound bag ever out of Green Bay. So,
yeah, well, they're not that many. Like if you look at the drop off, look what I showed you. The drop off between
there's a huge drop. That's why you need like 17 or 18. We always think it's bigger on Green Bay, and it's not. It's like 17 or 18, and you're on the bubble.
It's going to be freaking huge. It's a cockaway. Do you see the damn aim weights?
the best ever, guys. The best ever 30th place finish in a 5-fish event was 46 pounds. That's 23 a day. That was the best ever.
Yeah.
The lowest was 33 for 30th place. That's 5 3.25 pounders 2 days in a row. That's 10 fish, 3.3 pounds to get 30th place.
But the Green Bay's, if you can find that school of 26 to 30 inchers, I mean, it can happen fast. When you find school, and they're not, the little dogs ain't mixed in there. When you find those big fish, you are on the big fish. You can make, and if you're pulling spinners or cranking, boom, you can be done real fast. And it's same with scoping. It's just a matter of what you want to keep. But obviously, if you hit that pod, you're going to get a little pickier all of a sudden if you can see them, right? If you're scoping, but once again, how long are they going to be there? How long are they going to bite? So, but that's why we do it.
Took a 5th place scoping in 2022 in front of a bunch of guys trolling.
Well, I was racing.
Yeah, that's when you guys were catching them.
It was me, Eric, and Kevin that were weaving in between, and these guys were pulling boards in between us.
Right.
And that's just what we were doing, It was just one of those things.
Yeah, Kevin took 9th. Eric took 5th. And Drake, you were in what, like?
3rd or 4th. 4th, I think, right?
You were in 4th. Oh, my God. So you had 3 top 10 guys casting.
Look, he was looking down the list for you, Drake. He didn't even look at the top 5. He was like, Drake's down here somewhere.
No, I
didn't go to that one.
I was looking at the wrong one.
Yeah.
I was sitting in 13th for AOY that year. I didn't even go to that tournament. Randy's boat broke. I didn't want to go to Dunkirk, frickin' New York. So I said, let somebody else have the spot, and I'm out. No.
But yeah, that's where we were casting in front of all these guys pulling planer boards in front of us. But that was like, it hadn't happened yet. And we got onto it. And Eric won the AIM tournament the weekend before. And I'm like, God, now I can't even we didn't want to show anyone. So we literally went out of bounds where you couldn't fish to practice it. To that, we're casting at open water fish because it was so new to us. And me and Kevin wrenched on them in University Bay, right above University Bay, out of bounds because there's no boats around. We just wrenched on them. It's we can't even go down there.
So awesome.
Yeah, but then come tournament day, we just went where all those big fish were, and all the guys were trolling and caught them casting.
Yep. So even then, right, you guys whacked them, and it was still, Drake, you had 60 pounds.
Yep.
And so 6 pound average, and you took 4th. So think about that. Right?
Yeah.
It's probably you probably need to bump it up a little bit, or it'll drop a little bit if you have a 6 pound average because it's 3 fish only. Because what were your 3? Do you remember your 3 biggest each day?
Yeah, I want to say I had a 7 and 2/8 each day, and then I had a 3-4 or 4-5, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I always had 3.
July, right?
Yeah, 3
July
big
12th
ones
and 13th.
Yeah. And that bite was nerve-wracking because it didn't happen until, the major was at 11:30, and at 11 you wouldn't have a fish yet. And then all of a sudden it'd be like a light switch, and I was done early both days, first time ever. By 1 o'clock I was done. It's just like a light switch went off, and they just started biting everything.
It did. It was called the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It went.
Whoop.
I mean,
First place was 73.4. Half of that weight 37 pounds was 24th. That's how fast it dropped.
Yeah.
That's typical. Green Bay. If that mud bite isn't going, then it's tough for people just to fill those, those slots sometimes. Or when you're not on nothing, you can always go down there and crank or pull bouncers or whatever and get maybe 3 or 4s. And I mean, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 pounders in there too. They're just 5 feet below the surface.
Yeah.
Where nobody's looking sometimes. So
yeah.
There got to be some slip bobbers in my boat for this one upcoming.
There's going to be a lot of guys doing that. The scoping is going to be amazing. I think it's fun, because it's a target-rich environment when you find the right one. So, it's going to come down to getting the right bites in the right order.
Putting that fin gear to work, baby. It's going to happen.
I mean, you catch a 25.5 incher, your first fish.
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock, that's where practice comes in. It's like these are cookie cutters. But
but that's where I honestly think if going in, if I could shoot for 20 pounds, I'm going to be happy, and if I do better than that, that's awesome. If I suck, I'll be in a little bit of trouble, but we'll figure it out.
You got a little room to play, so
a little bit, not much, but yeah. So
I mean, that's still 6.5 pound fish. It's a good fish. It's a good walleye. So
yeah.
I think you'll be 20 would be good. Like I said, 24 might win it. There'll be some 20 ridiculous bag coming day one, but Green Bay, it's not easy to do 2 days in a row. I would say that's one of the more difficult places to put it back to back.
No, when I looked at let's see some of these. When Wiesner. Where is this stat I had?
Wiesner had 4 fish or 8 fish or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it was. Where did I put it? I can't find it right here.
We better get to getting into the fantasy aspect of it here. We're going here for about an hour if I want to get this out to people tonight. That's a lot of stuff. We kind of covered all that. You already kind of covered down on where we're all sitting on points. Let's cover that real quick. Do you have that top 40 in front of you there, John?
I do. First place, Hunter Nitty with 393 points. He's averaging a 5th place finish. 10th place is averaging a 22nd place finish. 20th place is averaging a 45th place. 30th is averaging a 52nd place finish. And the last qualifying spot, 40th place, is averaging a 62nd place, right in line with basically the last couple of years it's been. So it'll drop probably down to 59th like it did. A lot of it depends on how many guys will fish the third event and the 4th event.
Yeah, and then obviously keeping fish are going to be a little bit more conservative possibly for a few on here that are already in that top 40 just to stay there and not drop out by not getting their fish or whatever the case. And then Sakakawea, who's on that cusp and who makes the trip and not. So that can change it.
We'll lose quite a few guys for that if the ones that don't have a shot versus driving the 14 hours to get there at 12 hours. It happens every year for the last event.
Yep, I could be in last place. I ain't missing Sakakawea.
There you go.
So,
right,
but it's not 14 hours neither. It's like 9.
No, so this is right in line. Obviously, Hunter Nitty's having a great year. Eric McCoy's on his heels in second. Will Pappenfuss, Dwayne Jelm, Dylan Nussbaum round out the top 5.
Yeah.
We'll have a better idea who's going to have a run at the end of the year after this event.
Yeah. This kind of separates it pretty big right here.
They'll have to be pretty much within a certain amount of points. And I don't want to say it because I don't want to discourage anyone, but some of the data shows it. I mean, Drake came back that one year from 20. I forget how many points down you were on that.
Yeah,
we talked about that.
3 or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. So, and with only 40 guys, you can't be that much further out than that because that means everybody in front of you has to almost fish in the bottom 10.
Yeah.
For you to move, and you have to almost win or take top 3 for you to make up that many points. So, that's starting to play out. 81 guys fishing 2 is really good for the circuit, though.
Yeah,
That's a great number.
Yep, I know Takasaki won't make any more. He had some stuff come up, so that'll drop to 80. And I'm sure there's probably a few other, but still at this point, 80-something is good. It used to only be around 60, so.
Yeah, it'll probably end in the 60s somewhere, high 60s, low 70s. Yeah.
Well, while we're on points, let's get into the fantasy fishing aspect of it and go through our picks for this upcoming tournament. And before we get into this tournament, we got to recap Red Wings points. So we made a couple rule changes here since we're going to let John have a mulligan because he picked a bunch of people that didn't fish a tournament. So therefore, he was at the extreme bottom of the barrel. So we kind of modified it to the 81 or 80 guys that we are pretty confident will be there. So we gave John a mulligan and let him go down the standing list, which is exactly what he stated this, and that was who he was going to pick, who should finish according to the stats. And John finished with 207 points. So lower points is good. Basically, we took the place they finished, and that was how many points, and then added up those 5 finishes. So John had 207. Drake came in last with 213 points, so just barely on there, and I put a little whooping on him with 165 points.
Oh, you did.
I did. Awesome. My lineup was myself, Randy Hummel. I think Randy was 68, so he was my last or my worst basically finish out of everybody. Dewey finished 13th, King 32nd, and had Hunter Nitty who finished in 7th, and myself who I got 43rd.
Really good.
So
I think if we do Green Bay, we do one at a time. One angler per guy at a time instead of all 5.
All right, go ahead. I got mine listed. Anybody, you got yours?
Yeah, I'll start.
Go for it. Who are you picking, John?
Eric McCoy.
Wait, can we pick? Can I pick Eric too then? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You pick
But
yourself.
instead of each one of us doing all 5 of their picks, let's go one at a time.
Okay.
Do we all have Eric? Because he's on my list. So, all right. Okay, everybody's got Eric. All right, back to you, John. We all picked Eric.
Oh, no, you get to go first now.
I'll pick me because I have to do better than 35th. So.
Yeah.
Look at you again.
Pressure, I'm telling you, pressure to perform. You've got to have confidence you're going to go in and win it. You should always have yourself. I get it.
Okay,
There's other guys.
I'm going Sprinkles.
All right.
I think he's going to either get onto a trolling bite or something. He's just good out there.
Yeah, I heard he's bought a place out there, and he's
dialed in. Hopefully.
I'm going Dewey. He just won another derby over the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, so
like I had some time with my wife, and we jumped in, and voila, he won. Just like that. Like,
on his home water.
The Denny Palmer Memorial out there in Oahe, yeah. So, all right, Drake, you go first.
Drake, you go first. Yep.
Who else did I have here?
Drake.
Oh, I've got. Sorry. I was looking at my list.
I know. I was saying Drake was on your list.
Yeah. No, I'll be okay. I'll say my name, but I'm not third. I want to be 5th. You can say my name, Drake. I'll pick myself. That's fine.
All right, I'm going Tom Wynn.
Yeah.
We have the same list.
Oh, fine. I'll just pick someone different just because.
All right, you got Tom Wynn. I have Tom Wynn as well.
All right, I think it's my turn again to start. I'll go Hoyer.
I'll go Sprinkles.
I'm going Papin Foos. He's kind of on it right now, and he's got a lot of confidence in what he's doing. He's getting married soon, so he's screwed after that. So
Yep.
might as well get it in while he can.
I hope Ivy didn't hear that. So.
Yeah. It's a boy.
It happens. That is so we're back to me first. I have Woodkey.
Oh,
That doesn't, no, you can't
not a
choose
story guy.
Woodkey.
Damn, you're right. He's not. Son of a gun.
Yep.
Come back
That
to me.
doesn't count. Because
That
we
doesn't
don't
count.
have him on
I'll
our
go
list.
Papin
Let's be
Foos.
honest.
All right. I'll go Hunter then. I'll go Nitty. Instead of Woodkey. And you're going Papin Foos, John?
Yep. He's got 3 top 10s in a row.
Yeah, I'm literally the worst one on my list, so just no doubt about it. John's got a pretty solid list. Drake, who's your last one?
I'll go Max. Max is usually pretty good out there.
Very good. So I can run down real quick. I won't show you this, but I'll run down. He's only fished 2, but he's averaged a 4th place. Corey averages a 7th place on all the times he's fished it. So 8 times.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Tom Wynn's he's only fished it twice. He's averaging a 23rd. Here's someone I probably should have taken. Keith Cavalles has averaged a 23rd place.
Oh shit! I didn't even think. Excuse my language.
Keith would be my dark horse on this one, honestly.
Yeah, that is actually a good one.
Eric McCoy is averages 24th in 2 events. Shakurit 25th in 8 of them. Court's 25th in 8 of them. And Hoyer's averaged. Actually, Jim Carroll's averaged 29th. And John Hoyer's averaged a 30th place. Believe it or not.
Those guys all have a 0 mixed in. So
exactly. And Max is averaged at 34th place, but he's, obviously he's got some really good finishes. Last time he was there, he had a big, huge second day. I think 40-something pounds by Wiesner up there. So yeah, those are all really good picks.
I got myself, Springle, Eric, Tom Nitty. John's got Eric, Dewey, Tom Wynn, Hoyer, Poppenfuss. Drake's got Eric McCoy, Springle, Poppenfuss, Max, and himself, Drake. There you go. There's the all-star lineup. These will be, we got a lot of the same guys, so this will be pretty tight. It's really going to come down to you or I, Drake, right?
It'll be interesting. We might have to make some more rules here, but it's going to be some decisions that'll be made. It's going to be interesting to see what guys come up with, I think. Whether they have ice in there. You're going to have ice in your veins like all year long is what you're going to need. Like that's what it's going to come down to.
Skakaway will be a little better. We get 5 fish, and the place is fishing well. I mean, Eric just won the AIM championship out there, and those conversions are obviously, you got to subtract, quite a fair amount from that, and they hit it at just a really, really good time. So typically it's taken 20, 40, upper 40 pounds to win a 2-day tournament there with 8 fish weighing in your 5. Now we're just 5. It took 80 pounds to win the AIM thing. I think that's a bit of a reach for 1st of August, but you're going to catch them. So,
yeah, I'm pretty much stuck with, nothing crazy here. It was pretty much live scopers. I'm doing the same thing on the Bass Elites, and I'm doing pretty well on the Bass Elites, just picking nothing but live scopers. Yeah. And honestly, if you look at my list, almost every one of these guys, they're all, I think, full-time fishermen. So they've got plenty of time. They'll be practicing for 10 days, who knows how many days. It's, these aren't really like challenging picks for a guy to pick, actually. They got tons of time. They're really good at live scope, and they're momentum fishermen. Once you get fishy, you kind of stay fishy for a while, Yeah.
You're 100% correct. You just get on a roll and you can't do anything wrong, and you're just feeling it. You just get on a roll and you can't do anything wrong. And
confidence.
Yep.
If you don't have confidence in this, just write a check and stay home.
Yeah.
That's all 100%. You're just donating. That's why I keep telling you got to pick yourself, man. You got to just show that.
Yep.
There's the reality going, I hope I just cash check or finish, Hey, I'd be tickled pink with a top 10 in Green Bay. I'd be happy with a tickled pink with a freaking check at Green Bay for once, but my goal is to finish 35th or better.
That's where
just the reality go. You want to win.
You wonder though if you need to change your mentality and just have more confidence in what you're doing. There's times where I really get down on myself a lot, and I don't really talk too much about people with this, but that's where Eric and Kevin are just level, and they don't matter if they're stroking the shit out of them or they're sucking. They're level. And then when they get their opportunities, they capitalize on them. That's what you got to do. And so, I'm trying to get better about not getting down on myself if it doesn't go right away, because you can battle all day long. It's just one of those things.
We're our own worst enemy is ourselves.
Yep.
That's Cavalles. That guy, I've never seen him riled up on anything. He just keeps going, and he just, right? And then, in the bass world, the Brandon Poliniks, KVD never got riled up. He just kept going and kept going and kept going. Didn't matter. He lost a fish, shook it off, no big deal.
Yeah.
He didn't break rods, throw rods around. He just kept fishing. You lose them. Happens. Good news is they're biting. And,
getting better at that, but I'm with you, Drake. You're halfway through the day, and I think Bagel last year, I didn't box fish till 1 o'clock, and I weighed in 2:30.
Yep.
And it's just
you got to keep fishing. You got to have confidence in what you're doing, because that's like we keep braiding in our brains. Like that's half of it is confidence because you just got to believe in what you're doing.
Some of these co-anglers, a little credit. My co-angler on day one, he caught that 27. You know, I was like, hey, dude just trolled by out there a little deeper. I'm like, just throw out, and bam, and that jig was full on way at the beginning of the cast when he caught it, and
yeah.
But he was just all day. We'll get him. We're gonna get him. I'm like, they're here. We're on the fish. We just got to get them. I was like, they can fire any second. But he's not looking at the clock. He's not calling the lock master to see what the schedule is. Or you're thinking of all these other things. But he's he kept me positive, and I'm like, all right, right on, man, right on. But you'll get some that are just within 5 minutes. They're like, this sucks. Or they're doing something that they don't want to do, so they're like, and they're out of it. I'm like, you're not helping the vibe in the boat, anybody. Come on,
Bad mojo. We don't want it.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Because it can happen in 10 minutes. You could put 30 pounds in your boat.
Yep.
You could be done fishing in 10 minutes and be back at the dock at 9:15.
Yeah. I mean, coffee and breakfast sounds good to me.
Knock on wood.
So,
right.
All righty. Anything else, guys? Let's wrap this up. I'm going to get this thing edited and aired real quick for everybody. All right. Those are some good picks. It's going to be a fun one. Look forward to seeing you out there, Drake. It's just a few days. I'm heading out Friday morning. It's just Randy and I for the rest of the year. Hey, so you guys need a couple more teammates.
Let you know.
I think you're doing just fine. So we do got a good travel of coast. So all you guys following along, stay tuned for the next one. We're going to have the co-anglers that are with us at Green Bay on the podcast and let them tell you a little bit about some of their experiences this season. And we'll go from there. So thanks for tuning in and watching and listening to Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. I'm Brian Bashore, joined with John Balla and Drake Hurd, breaking down Green Bay, broke down Red Wing. Thank God we didn't break down. Speaking of break down Red Wing, did you hear those guys went through the Vermilion River?
Yes, 100%. But
awesome.
Okay, time out. Here's one last thing.
John doesn't know about this. It's pretty cool.
I am fishing on pool 3 on my one spot where I can pick up fish. I got 2 or 3 in the live well, and all of a sudden, here comes Tom Kimos, Corey Springle, Chase Parsons, Tom Wynn. Full bore. They're gonna go, and they friggin' sent it. Went around all the way up into some cattails. Yep. And made it back down. They beat everyone out of the lock by like a half hour. They said they had plenty of time. No one was around them.
Yep, went through the Vermilion River because he was chasing and Corey were fishing right where I was. And it didn't even register when I got there that they were already there fishing.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm like, I pretty much flew by a lot of people coming out of that lock. And then I didn't until later. I'm like, oh, you were already fishing when I got there.
Yeah, so they flew north. The one funny thing is where we were keeping our boats was one of our buddies that lives on the Vermilion. And he's like, I was sitting there having breakfast, and all of a sudden I heard one, and he's like, there are $400,000 boats just ripping down the Vermilion, like going. And I'm like, wow, that is impressive that they sent it.
Yeah, Chase said he's like, I'll never do that again.
Nope.
I'm like, well, at least he didn't break nothing. He goes, oh, I did.
Yeah.
I've only fished up to the railroad bridge from 4 going up, but not coming down from 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I went over the K-Dike when the water was high, but that water was dropping. There's no way I was going back over that thing. Good luck.
I don't even know where in the hell it's at. So
yeah.
Good luck at Red Wing, guys. All right, good luck at Green Bay, Good luck at Green Bay.
All right. You bet. Thanks, guys. Thank all you for tuning in, and we'll see you real soon. So stay safe, and we'll see you on the water.